So, usually I try to steer clear of topics like this, especially when they don't have a definitive conclusion, or are ongoing like this whole Nijisanji thing. But this is a case where I believe it's important to talk about at least certain aspects of the situation as they're happening. And, good lord, things here continue to happen so much. Hey, hi-yo-ho-ya out there to all my big brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, and, of course, mommies, daddies, siblings, and guardians. It's me, your bite-sized baddie and favorite little brother Mark, and if you didn't know, I'm a VTuber. I stream on Saturdays with Mark, and on Wednesdays, Sister Anemone goes live to read and do the occasional ASMR singing stream. That is to say, I'm no stranger to VTubers and VTuber drama, or how volatile the environment as a whole can be. Heck, the only beef I've ever had with this online identity was with another VTuber who was mad at me for something that we were both victims of. It's a weird space where everyone seems to do things for varying levels of clout and attention. Maybe the anonymity attracts nasties, maybe the nasties are what we become along the way. Who knows? This situation with Celine Tatsuki or Dokibird and Nijisanji is just increasingly asinine, however. And decreasingly legal. So even if my YouTube audience doesn't know anything about VTubers or this very serious situation, I still think it's worth having a listen to and thinking about for a good long while. So make sure to press save on that art you're working on as I take you down a quick rundown to get you up to speed. Nijisanji is a big VTuber agency owned by the corporation Anycolor. Within that agency is the English-speaking branch that includes, or included, a few talents who are very recognizable if you hang out in any VTuber sphere, such as Petra Gurin, Vox Akuma, Ina Alouette, the now graduated Pomu Rainpuff, the soon-to-be-graduated Kyo Kaneko, and the focus of this strife, Celine Tatsuki. Celine was one of the biggest EN Corpo VTubers, and all in all, darling of the company from the outside. But this past year has shown that things might not have been all sweetness and cherries. She was snubbed multiple times in the agency when it came to game events that she wanted to host, wanting to give prize money to fans for their work in an art contest, but being told that she would have to do it out of pocket, and most recently with an issue concerning her cover of the song Last Cup of Coffee. The cover and fan-illustrated video was released on Christmas, and was privated by management that same night. This was strange because Celine discussed in-stream after the video's premiere how she had personally gotten permissions from the song producer and singer, but ultimately, Celine would post a tweet encouraging her fans to re-upload the song because she spent a lot of money and fans dedicated so much time making art for it. Following that tweet, she was entirely quiet until a tweet explaining that an accident had landed her in the hospital. After one other message saying that she was safely home with her parents, there was radio silence. For over a month. 42 days. Then came a notice from Nijisanji's Twitter regarding the termination of Celine, and all hell broke loose. Not only did the company self-report that she never made the tweets about being in and out of the hospital, but rather it was her management who had usurped control of her social media accounts making those posts, they also tried to double down on saying that the music video was private due to a permissions issue. The statement also just tried to paint her as a liar, whose claims of being bullied from within Nijisanji that led to her hospitalization were false, and who had irreparably damaged their company's name with her attempt. Unfortunately, this did lead Celine to make a statement on her past life / now current account, dokibird, wherein she would confirm that her hospitalization was due to an attempt that she made to real-world game over. This also brings into question the legality of terminating Celine's contract with Nijisanji in the first place, as by Japanese hiring law, you must give 30 days notice before someone is to be terminated, and you cannot begin those proceedings while someone is on medical leave. Both things which would have had to have taken place given the current timeline of known events. Will Niji pay her the notice allowance? Or are they banking on the fact that as a contract worker, she doesn't technically have a salary? So maybe they feel like they can get off scot-free with doing something so shady. From there, more and more came right from Celine, now Doki's mouth, including allegations of how stifling the work environment was and how much money she was forced to spend on her own projects because Niji didn't want to support her projects financially and wouldn't allow her to have sponsors help. 15 grand for the Last Cup of Coffee music video was shocking, but when Doki explained that she spent $200,000 on her work last year, it was truly heartbreaking. She has retained a lawyer to handle conversations with Nijisanji from now on, and I can only hope the best for her. I've heard talks that other certain ex-Niji livers who got similar treatment may have taken legal action and won against the corporation. So who knows what could turn up. Now that Doki has this newfound freedom as an indie, she seems to be looking forward to the future. She even says that she's excited to tell her therapist about what she's excited for instead of just telling them how depressed and beaten down she feels. Which is However, even after all of that, the situation has continued to spiral, large in part due to Nijisanji's scrambling to try and save face in the eye of the public, poorly at that. Their stocks already took a large hit when Pomu Rainpuff graduated. Interestingly, also implying Niji's preventing her to take a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as why she could no longer remain in the corporation. But when Celine left, they just took a massive nosedive. Nowhere near the lowest Niji stock has ever been, but still a far cry from what they had clawed their way back up to. Then they published an interesting note to investors, saying that the impacts of Celine's termination would be negligible. Which, okay, Niji, did Celine's actions cause irreparable damage, or were they negligible? You can't have both. But I'm sure Dokibird's lawyers will have a lot of fun with that statement. And not stopping there, they've been losing sponsors and collaborators like water through a colander these past few days, with one of the most notable being Height breaking off their custom PC and keyboard bundle pre-sales with the company, with fan artists swearing off Nijisanji works, and merchandise producers selling off their current Niji stock at cost and donating the money to charity. It felt like Doki was winning in both the public eye and from a business stance. But even when at rock bottom, Nijisanji came prepared with a shovel. At the start of this week, some of Niji's biggest talents got together to make a video that basically said, "Nuh-uh, no, you," about the whole situation, showing that Nijisanji shared confidential court documents with their employees. Niji's statement when called out on this was to back them up, saying, well, since they're involved, they had to see this confidential information. But also, since they're not directly being sued, it's fine if they openly talk about this court info. Which, that's not how the legal system works. Not in the United States, not in Canada, and not in Japan. They are continuing to harm their own legal case, and it's just bad. Bad. The question for me, though, is was this even the liver's choice? I know in the video that Elira said that she volunteered for this, but we have to ask how believable or truthful that is. Did she volunteer to do this, or was this a situation of being given an offer she couldn't refuse? All the Niji talents I ever watched have graduated, are graduating, or have been terminated, so I can't say for sure about their personalities. But I do have friends who watch others like Shu Yamino that say these tweets are not right or in character for them. We also know now that management can just forcibly take account control at any time. With all the allegations that these past taking a break tweets weren't even made by the talents themselves, it feels like it gives more credence to the idea that management is forcing everyone to show support for this career suicide. In the end, though, we have zero way of knowing or proving that, and making flagrant assumptions will only make an ass out of you and me. We can only go by the facts. Knowing, or not knowing, doesn't change the fact that this stream was basically a carpet bombing to these livers' careers, however. I haven't seen anyone supporting this, and the Social Blade results aren't much better. Just, how far is too far? This whole statement video was likely spurned on by these talents who there was no proof or even real inkling of wrongdoing, being harassed and mass exodused by subscribers when this situation came about. That sucks that they were hurt because of what their parent company did to their fellow employee, but this will not help. Like, you gotta wonder what the plan here was. A last-ditch effort to try and get the public on Niji's side? An attempt to self-sabotage the company for some reason? Just spite to put this out during Doki's long-anticipated Neopet stream? I'm unsure. All this coming off the back of multiple Nijisanji Ian and IN talents graduating over the past year. It's indicative of a greater issue. See, many have taken to calling the company Kurosanji, and at this point, I can't entirely blame them. The term black company comes from a Japanese term used to refer to companies with usurious business practices, high turnover rates, and poor pay. With everything that's been coming out as of late, things really are pointing to Niji being a black company that simply plays favorites, or perhaps even gives preferential treatment to those who will suck up to management the most. In a company that wants to own your body and soul worse than Ursula the Sea Witch and won't let your voice be heard anywhere else, it just drives home that something big needs to change. After all, the claim that they were postponing their big Mario Kart event to take care of their talents was actually so that they could make this video with said talents. It's not taking care of them, it's the exact opposite. This expose or defense or whatever you'd like to call it may very well end these livers' careers. It shows that they still don't care. Dropping from about $40 a share to $30 should be the least of Niji's worries, but it seems like their main concern. Again, Nijisanji, was it really negligible damage, or was it irreparable? Why are you making all the choices that will obviously leave your remaining talents at risk of harassment? Everything is going to continue to spiral downward if this keeps up. Niji is going to run out of fans willing to support their faves with the 2% they get from merch sales, and the pittance split they get from their supers and memberships. And they're going to run out of people wanting to work with the company in the future. Desperation is one hell of a drug, but I don't know a single person at this point who wants to become a Nijisanji Ian liver. Not even the people who once aspired to work there alongside their Oshis. That is the true PR nightmare of this situation. It has become every single VTuber's circus of monkeys by force. At this point, I also just can't bring myself to support any Niji talents. And it sucks because I'm sure that there are nice people in the corporation who deserve a fair shake, but I can't back a company that does these things, or talents that, no matter if contractually obligated or not, would huff the copium enough to lie down in front of the bulldozer for a corporation that obviously doesn't care what happens to them. Boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I like Kurosanji comments on company time. These livers will receive harassment for this, and it sucks. Doki will receive harassment for that harassment, even though she said that she just wants to deal with this privately and wants people to spread positivity. Do you think that there's hope for Nijisanji to get back to where they were? Or do you think that this was the straw that broke the camel's back? I was bullied a lot as a kid. I didn't know why or even when it was happening every time. Autism be like that, blessing and a curse. Even if Doki wasn't getting physically attacked in third period math class, she was being mentally attacked and worn down over time. And that can be 100 times worse than physical pain. Not being supported and helped when you need it, not having the people who are meant to be in your corner even extend an olive branch of aid, losing so much money just to try and make others happy. I understand how that could lead to an overwhelming sense of hopelessness. And all I can do is hope that the other livers in Nijisanji, no matter if they were the wastes of human space that would bully someone to the point of suicide or not, don't also reach that point. I think from here, Doki's most recent statement explaining this document is where we should leave things. At 5:48 a.m. on Valentine's Day, dokibird posted the following. I was ready to move on. I made my last statement and I haven't looked at anything regarding my past for a full week. I didn't look at anything regarding legal documents or anything regarding my situation since I moved back to Doki. I wanted to be hopeful for the future and never interact with that side again. So to see it all come back and reopen a wound that I was ready to heal from and to have to talk to my lawyer again on how to respond? The document mentioned was, at first, made to document my thoughts and history with evidence so that my lawyer can see the general picture of what was going on, and if there were issues that should be addressed. It was first made during my darkest time mentally, and I wrote everything on my mind little by little at that time. I made the document thinking that it was never going to be public to anyone but to my lawyer. Although it was a document filled with my personal information, as well as privacy information that should not be public, there were no other addresses or specific locations mentioned. Regarding a recording, this was not intended to be anything other than a distribution test for planning of a collaborative event between two people, which happened to be left over from one test recording, and I never recorded any other conversations with anyone. The recording was never shown anywhere, even in legal settings, and there are no other recordings. However, I regret that it was mentioned, and I am sorry to all parties affected for the misunderstanding in this. I requested that I just wanted to move on. Sometimes I didn't hear anything for days from the lawyers on the other side, and felt like I'd be alone and isolated for a long time. It made it so hard for me mentally. On February 5th, my lawyer discussed and said it will be best to show the document I wrote to the other lawyers, as we had not heard from them for a week, or any negotiation talks or given a meeting to discuss after my request to part. It was never intended to be used for anything else. I've asked my lawyer to convey that, and have communication that the document as it was written wasn't going to be released anywhere, and my lawyer did so when sending the document. Less than 2 hours after my lawyer sent that document, the termination notice came out. I was very shocked, but thought that was the last time I'll hear or think about the document, and that this, personally and my own opinion, was the end of the lawyers and legal involvement. All of the communication was done between lawyers and Japanese. Things are not black and white, and everything gets more complicated and muddled when lawyers are involved in a different country. When things are conveyed to multiple parties through different degrees of communication, everything turns into different narratives and different translations. I thought it was over, and I've accepted what happened and ready to move on. Everything I post to the public about the situation was a response. If it was a month ago, it will have been different, as I was angry, but I was also very alone in my head. But it's not a month ago, and I've accepted it. I wanted it to be neutral and private, but now the whole world is involved and the public is watching every step that happens. I am not perfect, and I have faults. I had to watch my dad cry and break down in front of me for the first time in my life last night. Despite everything that's happened, please show kindness to all parties involved. There are real people behind the monitors. One of the reasons why I wanted this to be private is that the internet can be a cruel place, and I know this would happen the moment this type of notice drops. What I didn't reveal to anyone, and only my parents and therapist knew, was that it was not one attempt, but two, which happened a few weeks after the first. My parents found me in time after searching for me for hours before anything happened. I was in a really dark place, and I do not wish this on anyone. No one should go through what I went through. I reveal this now not for pity, but to state that no life, no matter what, should be risked for ego or winning anything. There are no winners in this. Please don't make it like high school. Treat everyone like adults, and with some empathy and kindness. For those who wish to see receipts or documents or anything else, hoping I'll reveal them, I'm sorry, but these are the things that should be private and, if needed, between lawyers. Revealing private documents and talking about the details within will only just make things worse and more complicated as outside parties get involved and will just hurt everyone. No one deserves to be pushed over the edge. So many people have gotten hurt and involved even if they were innocent bystanders. In the end, I will always be here to respond, and that is the only thing I will do in public. I hope this will be the last statement I have to make. This statement is just so incredibly devastating. She shouldn't have had to make this, and it is clear through this that she really did just want to separate amicably in the beginning. It also really highlights that if Nijisanji did not give the entire document to the 3 livers that talked about this, they cherry-picked and cropped the worst possible things just to rile their own talents up into making such a statement. It's disgusting. Now larger media outlets are making videos on this, including Moist Critical, so it really starts to feel that things are getting out of hand. Please, spread positivity where you can. The world is dark and scary enough. VTubers are here to put a smile on your face, or make you cry happy tears, or to offer a sense of camaraderie. So, let's put that out into the world as much as we can, okay? If not for our own sake, for Doki's. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the video, and even more, thank you to my wondabulous Patreon supporters. I couldn't make these videos without you guys helping me. At our brother, sibling, sister tier, we have Viri, Miss Mercuriel, and Minnow. At our mommies, daddies, and guardians tier, we have Mary, Isabel Marks, and Kiryu Makoto. And at our gods, goddesses, and deities tier, we have gods and punks. Check it out if you want exclusive updates on live 2D artworks and other things. And hey, maybe consider following me on Twitch to support my own VTubing journey if you feel so inclined. Also, we do have YouTube memberships. I have to put out content for them, but you know what? I'll be incentivized to put content out for it if there's actually a member. But for now, it's a bit of a ghost town in there. Make sure to go buy Candle. I'm getting a scent very soon. I'm so excited. I'll do an actual advertisement for it next time, but this one didn't really have a good place for an advertisement slot. I hope you can understand why. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe. Click that subscribe button. Did you know that the subscribe button actually glows when you say that now? It's so cute. Rewind the video and go look at it. It's really cool. But whatever the case, whatever the cause, please have a scrabdangulous day. Bye-bye. One second, my ferret's on my shoulder. What are you doing?